how do we say the S sound clearly? Well, we can't just say, how do we say the S sound clearly, because there are different ways to say it. And the best way to learn anything is to do some examples, to learn by examples. If you think about any native English speaker in any language, the way that they learned was through their parents, the people around them, speaking constantly and slowly picking it up. Babies are natural sponges for language, especially, very importantly, for what are called phonemes. Phonemes are the sounds that make up words. P-H-O-N-E-M-E-S. Phonemes. Okay. Now, it gets harder to learn these the older we get. There's a special period at age 2, and then there's another age at 7, a cutoff period where it gets more and more difficult, and then as people get older and older, it gets harder and harder. So you have to practice more and more to get these sounds right. Some of these sounds are really tough to pick up, especially if you didn't learn the language earlier. Now, luckily, the S sound is not so bad because most languages have the basic S phoneme, the basic S sound. But S does make some other sounds like Z, like the Z sound, so we have to be aware of that as well. So we're going to go through some examples. My iPad is making some noise, some news. Oh. Senator Amy Klobuchar is ending her presidential campaign and will endorse former Vice President Joe Biden. All right. Anyway, that's some news I just got on my iPad. So, we need to go through examples so that we can get a feeling for this. I am not a big fan of learning through phonetic symbols. Those little symbols that you get that tell you what the pronunciation is for a particular word or a particular sound in a particular word. I'm not a big fan because they don't actually get you all the way there. They get you to a point over here to remember something, but they don't actually get you to the point of saying the thing, saying the correct sound, right? So I'm not a big fan. Not a good way to remember sounds. Definitely not a good way to actually learn how to say them. And I think a lot of people who learn languages would agree with that. You want to learn how to pronounce things clearly, you have to figure out the mouth sounds by yourself. You have to get a feeling for the mouth sounds by developing your self-awareness and also your ear so that you can hear when other people are saying a specific sound that might be slightly different from another one. All right, so enough talking. Let's go through some examples. Now we have here first some S sounds as Z and some C sounds as S. Okay, so we have two different sounds here. One is the basic S sound and the other is a Z sound. Okay, so let's go through the ones on the left here first. H-O-S-E. Hose. 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 So if you really want to make sure you get it, you can stretch that Z out. One common problem with the Z sound in general for English learners is to make it too sharp so that it's something like this. Hose. Hose. Especially among Chinese English learners. Hose. Hose. It's too hard. And I would ask you to try to continue that for 10 seconds. Can you go? No, it's very difficult, but very soft and very natural. It has to be that long, soft sound where your tongue is vibrating at the upper part of your mouth, which is called your hard palate. It has to really vibrate, but not too hard so that it sounds natural. So, hose and then tools. Tools. Now, this one is a little more difficult because you have that L sound first. So first try to say tool, 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 and then add the Z sound after it. Tools, tools, tools. All right? Next one. Chasm, chasm. Now here we have the A sound before the Z sound rather, and then the Z sound before the M sound. Zum, zum. So you have to be able to make that transition very quickly. Zum, zum. Chasm, 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 okay? It's actually not that hard, but you have to make sure you get all of the sounds in there. Fused, fused. Now for this one, actually, the tough sound is the Y sound after the F. There's a little yeah. Fused, 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 right? It's a little bit tough, a little bit difficult. The last one might be the easiest one, loser, loser. So this one is actually an oo sound. Loo and then zer. Loser. loser, loser. It's got to be very soft, because if it's loser, loser, or looser, or something like that, it will sound like something else, and then people will misunderstand you, and that's not good. Okay, so that's the S as Z. Now let's look at the C as S, the basic S sound. So M-A-C-E is mace, mace. That's a basic S sound. Farce, farce, farce. All we're saying here is S. That's all we're saying. Mace, farce, okay? Center, center, citation. So these should be very easy. Citation. It's just like the S sound. Yes, it's a C, but when the C comes before an I, an E, or a Y, it is often what we say the soft C. The soft C, which is the same as the basic S sound. So these should be easy, but it's important to know that C can make the S sound. All right, so we've talked about the S as Z, and we've talked about the C as S. Don't be confused. I know. Now we need to talk about basically the S sound at the beginning of words. Now these should be very easy. Soul, sauna, and summer, okay? This is just for reference. Soul, sauna, summer. Soul, sauna, summer. Okay, very easy. Soul, sauna, summer. This should not be too difficult, right? Very easy. Now we get into a little bit more complexity when we put other sounds with them, because with soul, sauna, summer, that's followed immediately by vowel sounds. O, ana, right? The other ones have consonant sounds paired with them. SL, SM, SN, right? So this one is sloth, sloth. So you have to jump very quickly from the S to the L sound. That's the challenge. Sl, 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 sl. You have to jump to the next thing very quickly. You cannot make a space because it's not an extra syllable. It's not sloth. That's a common mistake, to make that an S-U-H sort of sound. It's not. You have to immediately jump to it. Sl, very quick. Sloth, sloth. Then the next one, smooth, smooth. Again, it can't be smooth. It's got to be immediate. And the same with the next one, snare, snare, smooth, snare. Notice there's no space between the S sound and then the consonant sound that follows it. No space. That's extremely important. Otherwise, it's going to sound weird. Snare. Snare. What is snare? I have no idea what you're talking about. Snare. Oh, snare. Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're talking about. It makes a big difference. It might sound small and not important, but it really matters. It's very important. Okay, and the last group here is when S comes before a sound that is also a consonant, but after another sound. So this one is dust, dust. So we have the vowel sound, followed by T. Dust, dust. And then first. Very similar. First. Now, a lot of people struggle with this one because you have to jump from the R sound right into the S. Ers, ers. So your tongue is curled back and up and then flicks forward into the S. Ers, ers. If it sounds like us, that's wrong. A lot of people say that. That's incorrect. It's a mistake. It should be ers, ers. Now, British pronunciation, you could say, is a little bit more relaxed with something like erst, but it's still there. There's still a simple R sound. Americans will say and then go directly to the S sound. So we'll say first, then dusk, dusk. That one should be easy. And then school, school. So this one has the S followed by a K sound, even though it's CH. School, school. Okay, so these should be not too difficult, easy to learn. You have to copy them and practice them. It's not enough just to learn them. If you have difficulty with any of these, make a little list, write it down, practice them 100 times, say them many, many times. They have to become habits. Pronunciation is not something you should be thinking about as you're speaking. That is wrong. That is going to make it very tiring to say anything. You shouldn't be thinking about pronunciation. It's only going to make you more tired. It's got to become a habit. Okay, we have one more of these to look at. Muscle, missile, and mushy. Okay, muscle, missile, and mushy. Now, I put mushy in there just to let you know that usually when it's with an H, it's a sh sound, not an S sound, okay? Just to be clear, when you have an S and an H together, it's sh, not s. I think probably most of you know that. But when we have two S's together, or we have an S followed by a C, it is going to be just the basic S sound. Muscle, missile, muscle, missile. Is there any difference in the M-U-S-C and M-I-S-S? Not in the S sound, no. It's exactly the same. Muscle, missile, muscle, missile, muscle, missile. Same S sound. However, when it gets paired with an H, it's sh, mushy, 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 mushy. All right, now the last one is tough for a lot of people. Many people struggle with this pronunciation. This is a special pronunciation of the S, which is, follow me if you can, zh. Now, just like the Z sound, when we said we were going to do the Z sound correctly, we have to stretch it out, right? The Z sound goes zzz. If you can't hold it for 10 seconds, you're saying it wrong. It's the same for this one, except this one is sh plus ah. If you put sh plus ah together, then you get zh. It's not j, j, j. It's not J. Got to be careful. If it's too hard, it sounds like J. J, 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 j. No, it's not J, because J cannot last long. It doesn't work, right? It's not that. If it's too soft, then it sounds like this. Also wrong. Also wrong. No, it is zh. I look like an idiot making the sound, but that is how it's said, okay? Sh, sh plus and that is how you say it. So these words will be fusion, fusion, not fusion, fusion, fusion. Usually, a lot of people struggle with usually. Usually, soft, very gentle, right? But not too gentle. A lot of people say usually. No, no, not usually. Usually, but it's also not usually. Also wrong. Right in the middle. Usually. Usually. Okay? Got it? Decision. Usually. Decision. Usually. Decision. Usually. Now, notice that that last S in decision is actually a Z sound. Decisions. Decisions. So that makes it even more difficult. Okay? So we have these three: fusion, usually, decisions. Fusion, usually, decisions. All right, so hopefully you've been kind of following along as I've been saying them, trying to copy them yourself. My suggestion is, for any that are difficult, or for any word at all, in fact, you have to write them down and you have to practice them many, many times, because if you don't, they will not become habits. And if they don't become habits, I'm afraid that you really have no chance of pronouncing things correctly when you're in a high-pressure situation and you're trying to express yourself, trying to think about the sentence and the word and the grammar and all of that. There's no chance of remembering the pronunciation, or at least very little chance, okay? So you've got to make them habits by repeating them. But what if you can't listen to me say the sounds? Well, you can go to most dictionary websites or apps and click on the little play button and listen to it and copy it. You have to develop your ear and develop your awareness of yourself so that you can hear when you say it and it sounds like what you heard. Again, I don't recommend that you use the symbols. I think it's a distraction. Do your best, repeat, develop your awareness, develop your habits, and I think you will go a long way in improving your pronunciation. By the way, guys, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and check out my courses, which cover a lot of different topics, in the links in the description.